Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 3.
Yep, Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 3, Episode 6. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And, well, Yuji's in one hell of a situation because he doesn't into spycraft. He's not Sterling Archer. So, you know, just things and stuff and things. And we'll just have to see if whatever comes out of this situation with Hikari and Kisara and whether or not they can form their team. That's what we're trying to do here. Not having WWES fights with Panda. Because, you know, that was fun. But, you know, I don't know. I got nothing else going into this one. We'll just have to see where this goes. The whole culling game situation is probably going to kick off after this, so that's where all the random other characters from the OP and stuff are probably going to show up. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see what's up with the Ron Simmons guy. So, I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. It's definitely an interesting situation. I'm interested to see what the deal is with Hikari's technique. We already talked about that a little bit last time, so that should be kind of fun. Blinko's fun. I don't know. That was my favorite part of Price is Right as a kid. So, I don't know. Stuff and things are occurring, and stuff and things are going to continue. That's all I got. So, we're going to push some buttons and get going here. So, people on Patreon will see you on the other side of the edit for the timer reaction, and see you on the side for the discussion and review, and links to Patreon for varied stuff is there if you want to check that out, and vice versa. So, here goes something. Well, alrighty then, there you guys have it. An entire episode revolving around trying to figure out somebody else's power. If this is going to be the norm, we're going to be here for a minute. But as we saw with that stinger, there's already at least potentially 40 sorcerers completely toast. Now, for those of you who forgot, it's 5 points for a curse user, should I say. It's 5 points for a curse user, and 1 point for a non-curse user that's, you know, associated. So, based on that guy's...
In the rules, they use the term sorcerer, but yeah, the majority of them are just curse users, because once again, the whole thing is like, sorcerer is you had formal training, curse user is just you're someone with cursed energy.
Yep. So based on that guy's mannerisms and the fact that he's been around for about 400 years, unless he has like some weird information linked to the past, we don't know yet, but let's just assume they've been around for 400 years at least. They're probably only going after sorcerers, so that means at least 40 kills. You know what I mean? Bare minimum. It's bare minimum 40 kills.
Yeah, we already know that particularly strong curse users are capable of getting to a point where they effectively don't age because they start taking on curse spirit-esque traits, and that's one of the first things they lose when they start losing their humanity is their natural aging process.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say about this one. I mean, I gotta give them credit for their camera work in this one. That was something else. To just kind of, like, accentuate the gravity of the situation by just shifting it the way they did was an interesting choice, and I appreciated it for what it was. That was definitely a thing. The cuts in and out for the audio, that was cool too. So this was more about cinematography than actually anything super cool happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they put a lot of deliberate aspects into the cinematography here, like constantly keeping Kirara as the center point of pretty much every scene, when Kirara functionally is the center of gravity, because Kirara is the one who controls the gravitational pull and everything in the scene.
Yep. So they did a good job explaining it, how you know, things were being figured out, that kind of thing, how Fushiguro handled it, that kind of thing. So that was fine. I mean, there's not really a huge amount I can say about this sequence. Like I said, this was mostly about cinematography, and they nailed it. I like that they did something different with it. That was cool. I enjoyed that. Once again, like I said, with the audio cues and stuff like that, that was spot on as well. You know, this kind of thing. You know, we got some fan service for Fushiguro fans. We got to see some abs. You know, feel like
one thing I will also say is I feel like a lot of people probably are going to underestimate Kirara's power. Like, Fushiguro figuring out Kirara's power as quickly as he did is an abnormality. Like, Kirara was even, like, taken back that he was able to put it together so quickly and largely through luck. Like,
Yeah.
even admits on his part.
Right.
And Kirara wasn't really trying to actively, like, kill them or anything like that until, like, the very end of that final attack.
Yeah. I mean,
if this was an actual, like, straight-up fight against Kirara would have won, like, almost immediately.
Yeah. I mean, they were pretty, they were being kind of neutral about it. It's like, well, they'd probably be trying harder and being, like, way more hostile if they actually wanted to kill. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
That was what it was, you know?
Yeah, both sides were holding back quite a bit when it comes to, like, because, like, you know, Panda and Fushiguro are literally just trying to convince Kirara. They're not trying to actually fight Kirara. And likewise, Kirara is just trying to keep them from the Kari and not actually kill them. It isn't until Kirara starts kind of getting desperate at the end of, oh crap, they're figuring me out, that Kirara actually starts putting any sort of real seriousness into their attacks. Like doing the whole thing of, like, orbiting with the coin and controlling their own gravity and stuff like that, or the car attack against Megane.
Yep. So once again, all that was cool, and then we just kind of got that whole thing with between Hikari and Yuji that, you know, it was a resolve off, and, you know, Jennifer Lawrence was not mentioned this time, but, you know, he did get punched on the head for asking. So it will be interesting to see what they what they do with this, like, whole sequence here and how they choose to handle it. But, you know, the call on anything, we'll just have to see. At some point, I'm sure we'll get, like, what Yuta's up to, that kind of thing. But we got this stinger with this little Shikigami, I guess. I guess that's what this is. This is
Kogane. This is the game master.
Yeah, it's the game master. So
it's the whole thing with, like, part of the rules is Kenjaku himself cannot act as the game master. This Shikigami thing has to act for him.
Right.
Because if he was the game master, then people could kill him and end the game.
Yeah. So don't want that. I mean, not to say that killing him would be, like, a simple measure, but still.
Yeah, killing him wouldn't be easy per se, but that still gives people a potential out of, instead of participating in the game, they could just try to figure out a way to kill him instead. As it stands right now, yeah, people can still try to figure out a way to kill him because they want to kill him, but even if they kill him, his game's going to get through.
Yeah. So it's definitely interesting to see just different aspects of things like that going on. But we'll just have to see what they do with this, because there's a lot of interesting aspects to this guy here, Hajime Kashimo. Potentially has been around for hundreds of years, which is not out of the realm of possibility based on everything we've got from the series so far. So, okay. I
was kind of explaining that towards the end of the discussion. Like, we've already had that kind of as an established thing of the more powerful curse user you become, the more curse-like you become, and less human-like. And usually, like, one of the first things we see a lot of these, like, stronger curse users end up shedding when they start losing their humanity is the humans, like, natural aging process. And so we have a bunch of the bigger curse users are hundreds of years old.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to get more on him. Once again, bare minimum 40 kills. Anywhere between 40 and 200 kills, but the last kill was a sorcerer, so, you know, 195. But based on his personality, I'd assume he only goes after sorcerers, so at least 40 kills. But there's probably some random, like, tertiary, just like what you'd probably call collateral damage of non-sorcerers, I'd assume, randomly. But it's pretty much irrelevant for whatever. But we have our first new rule added to the game, which is Rule 9, which is basically open book on your stat sheet.
Yeah, it's your name, colony, point count, and if you've added a rule, is all now public knowledge to every other player.
Yep. So I assume they can just kind of ask the game master for information whenever they want and be like, so what's up with this guy? And then they give you a breakdown.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see
it's
that in
probably just like
practice.
it's probably just like an added function now, basically, of Kogane just has a like stat sheet now that you can look up at any point.
Right. So it will be interesting to see how many rules are added to the game as it goes on. What we talked about, we had to speculate how many sorcerers are going to be part of this. You know what I mean? Because it's all over Japan. I don't think we know that it's not everybody in Japan, obviously, but it's a pretty sizable number. I mean, you have like random guys like that comedian, you know what I mean? So it's not like it's exceptional individuals like, say, professional athletes and celebrities and what have you, you know what I mean? Individuals of like physical prowess or mental prowess, you know, like a chess master or something, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's like 9 major zones set up in like a ritual diagram that if you enter any of the zones, you become a player, and even if you leave the zones, you're still considered to be a player. So, like, fights could leave the zones and so on, but they're centered around the zones. But yeah, we don't really have any context as to how many or participants there actually are. We know pretty much every Japanese sorcerer is involved to some extent or another, and we now have a freaking unknown horde of curse users that Kogane has just been, like, freaking Hijaku has been shitting out over the last, like, month or so, ever since he got Idol Transfiguration.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, there's not really a huge amount to say about this one. Again, it was fine for what it was, more about cinematography than anything else, and you know, the classic figuring out the other person's ability situation. That's a classic. Nothing wrong with that. We got left on this guy.
Yeah,
so
again, people like to compare this to Hunter x Hunter, and that's a pretty big staple thing in Hunter x Hunter. Is it's more about figuring out your opponent's ability than being able to just straight up overpower them.
Yep. So either way, I liked it for what it was. Nothing too spectacular. Nothing a huge amount really we can talk about, because can't really speculate on what their plan is outside of getting Hikari on the team. So we'll just have to see where they go from here. But I don't know. We do know one thing from meta knowledge. They're replacing somebody from a certain role. From a trophy role, mind you. And we'll talk about it when we get there. But I know that's coming, so that should be kind of fun to talk about. But other than that, there's not really much else we can say about this one. I got nothing else, you know what I mean? It was just cinematography, figuring out Kiro's power, Yuji face tanking to convince Hikari, and then this guy. That was it. It's
which, yeah, we more or less got the full scope of Kiro's power and how it works, but not really to what extent they can actually use it. Once again, we got kind of a glimpse of at least semi-serious Kirara towards the end there, which, like I said, I feel like a lot of people are going to underestimate Kirara, largely because they're overshadowed by Hikari, who is supposed to be like up there on Yuta's level.
Yep.
But we also got that, like, random bit of information about Hikari, and that, like, apparently his cursed energy is naturally abrasive, so, like, just simply coming into contact with it damages people.
Yeah. So, some pretty interesting stuff across the board. Again, that's all I got for this one. You got anything else, Age?
You mentioned the Jennifer Lawrence thing, but yeah, from what we've seen, Yuji is in far too much of a, like, serious headspace to really go into any of the old jokes. Right now, he's just kind of tunnel visioned on dealing with the Sukuna situation.
Yeah. It's not like he's Leon from Resident Evil, right? I mean, from what we've seen of RE9 so far, Leon, no matter what situation he's in, he's still gonna, you know, be Leon. Even though he's pushing 50. Which, again, just because you're 50, it doesn't mean you're freaking old. But that's a discussion for another time.
Yep, and pushing 50 is... You have to be pretty trained in order to do, like, serious physical activity at 50. Especially, the kind of stuff like he does. But once again, we've already, in personal discussions, talked about the fact that Leon isn't exactly a normal human anymore. He's had multiple viruses modify his body now at this point.
Yep. So, I don't know. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond heavy watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us here in the dojo from our anime night in the dojo. And this was Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 3, Episode 6. Like halfway there, because, Part 1 and all that. So, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.